What the world saw last night was a country so unsafe, so weaponized, but so unsafe that it cannot even keep its president, his cabinet, politicians, and almost the entire media safe at an event. That is what the world saw last night. The world continuously sees America's school children running for their lives, hiding in closets, barricading doors against gunmen. But last night, what the world saw was an utter failure of security, of intelligence, just utter collapse of that. How merciful, how absolutely merciful that no one died, no one got killed, that the Secret Service man who was shot at had a bulletproof vest on and was saved by that. But how merciful. We don't know much about the shooter except that he stayed at the hotel. Is there no intelligence? Is there no way to hold people accountable for the security failure? The FBI director was hanging out like a regular person, deer in headlights. Just wow. I mean, let's set aside the fact that what the hell was the press corps doing, yucking it up with Donald Trump? What the hell were Democrats doing in that whole situation? The administration that has literally called for shutting freedom of speech down has been criminalizing free speech, has been demanding money from these same organizations, has been calling journalists stupid and disgraceful and demanding people be fired for what they say and what they report. What are you doing? But that's another issue. The fact is what the world saw last night, and let's see what the world actually had to say. So the the world press has been saying a few things. Le Monde in France, a lead editorial suggests the incident is being meticulously staged to justify a broader crackdown on domestic political opposition. The analysis notes that while the trauma is real, the speed with which the administration pivoted to enemies within rhetoric suggests a prepared response. Der Spiegel in Germany. Using the most direct historical parallels, commentators have questioned whether this represents a Washingtoner Reichstag brand. The skepticism centers on the immediate call for emergency decrees and suspension of standard legal oversight following the shooting. El País in Spain reports focus on the transactional use of tragedy, noting that the incident provides a convenient distraction from recent setbacks in the Middle East and domestic economic pressures. The Guardian, UK, coverage emphasizes the security industrial complex of the administration, suggesting the shooting will be used to permanently fortify the executive branch against judicial and legislative scrutiny. The skepticism is at a whole nother level. In Asia, in Taiwan, the United Daily News, there is concern that a shaken administration might use the domestic crisis as an excuse to pull back from international commitments, focusing instead on internal purification. And here's the basket case narrative. Across European outlets, the shooting is cited as final proof that the US has developed into a failed state where even the most secure elite gatherings are subject to the same chaos as rural schools. This has been rounded up this morning by an account called Thomas P. Tom Logan. Well, Trump convened a press conference soon after the incident when he went back to the White House and the press corps followed him in their ball gowns and their tuxedos. And what did he focus on? He focused on his ballroom. And immediately the entire MAGA influencer account started to post the exact same talking points sent out by the communications department at the White House. Trump spent quite a lot of time talking about, see, we need this ballroom. The military has demanded it. The entire incident was one big justification in his mind for his ballroom. How curious, because just on Saturday morning, the New York Times was talking about potential corruption in a no-bid contract for the ballroom. And all kinds of cases have been filed to stop this from happening. But Trump and his minions, grinning away, giddy as all get out, talking about the need for a ballroom. This could have been a massacre. How about we talk about failure of security? How about we talk about the proliferation of guns? No, we're talking about a ballroom. What is the American public seeing Monday morning? They're seeing high gas prices, high diesel prices, shortages of fertilizer, inflation creeping in even more into grocery prices, unaffordability, inaccessible healthcare, premiums shooting through the roof, and a failing stature of America. What the world is seeing is the Trump administration cannot even secure itself. How the hell is it going to secure the Strait of Hormuz, secure everyday Americans against threats of violence? This is only going to heighten a sense of insecurity in this country. That is what Americans are going to be seeing. Chaos, chaos, chaos. A decrepit, aged president not assuring the country, but talking about ballrooms, meandering around, talking about utter garbage. That is what Americans are seeing. Two things. How will you keep me safe? And we saw a great demonstration of that. Number two, how do I keep my family afloat economically? And we are seeing that with over $4 a gallon of gas prices, 8% higher groceries, and God only knows what premiums look like for healthcare. Housing is unaffordable. This is what Americans are seeing. But yesterday was the most stark example of what insecurity looks like. Americans saw it and the world saw it. If Trump and his giddy cabinet think this is going to help their ratings or their poll numbers, they are so mistaken. We do not know much about the shooter, but what we saw was the inability to stop him. Mercifully, and thank God, nobody died.